が消えかかるそれがオレンジャー熱い血流れる鋼のマシン
Welcome to the Super Sentai Brothers. This is episode 6 of For Your Eyes Ohranger, the internet's best and only podcast dedicated to Chouriki Sentai Ohranger. Every week we watch an episode of the show, we share our thoughts with you, the listeners. My name is Matt J. With me as always is my co-host and brother Dave. Dave, how you doing today?
I'm pretty chilled out, man.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Pretty chilled out on this nice chilly morning?
It is chilly, but I'm warm, except my feet, which are perpetually cold. But that's not something to talk about here.
I mean, you can get some slippers. I don't know if we should move that into like the star category, but Dave, here's my recommendation to you, my sort of unofficial star this week. Get on that slipper game.
Yeah, no, I actually do need to get a new pair of slippers, but I think I have some lingering nerve damage from that Guillaume Beret when I was in junior high.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It's like a whole weird thing, but it's boring.
Okay.
I mean, it's actually not boring. I think it's actually probably pretty fascinating, but it's not funny for a podcast.
But you know it is funny for a podcast, Dave. Today, we are watching episode 6 of Chouriki Sentai Ohranger. It is called A Formidable Foe, A Thinking Machine. But before we get into that, Dave, we need to get through our award-winning opening segment. Dave, shining in the heavens, there are 5 stars. What is our first star of the week?
So our first star of the week, Matt, is that we are kind of starting to round out Thanksgiving break.
Yes.
Thanksgiving is over for another year, but we had a wonderful Thanksgiving, man.
We really did.
Yeah.
As we record this, it is the Saturday following Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so real highlights. So first of all, we had a lovely dinner with some with good friends, which was fantastic. Here's a big thing, for me at least, Matt. For the 18th year in a row, I have managed to avoid Black Friday shopping.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, every year I don't do it, and every year it's great.
I'm sure that everyone who works retail thanks you.
Yeah, you're welcome,
because,
guys.
Having spent a good number of years in the sort of retail trenches, Black Friday, especially like the first half of the day on Black Friday, it's kind of indescribable.
I imagine like the second half of the day is not nearly as bad.
The second half of the day is kind of just like a very busy day at work, usually.
Right. Yeah.
The first half of the day at work is... I'm trying to think of what is comparable. Because you were never a retail guy. You were always a restaurant guy, sort of
Mother's Day. Mother's Day is the answer, Matt.
Yeah, Mother's Day.
Yeah,
so,
there's like 2 days of the year that you are not allowed to ask off, and it's Mother's Day and Valentine's Day, in restaurants at least. And actually, it has become a thing that you cannot ask off on Black Friday, because when everybody finishes shopping early in the morning, they go out to eat. So, like you said, like Friday mornings are insane and Friday afternoons are not that bad. It's flipped in restaurants. Like Friday mornings are sort of like chill, and then Friday afternoon, like not even evening, because by evening everybody just wants to go home. But Friday afternoon is brutal.
I remember one year, and I don't know if I've talked about it on the show before, but there was this one year I was working at Borders, and, well, there were like 4 years I was working at Borders, but one of the years that I was there on Black Friday.
Oh, wait, Matt. I think I know the story you're about to tell.
So, because I know I've told you before. I told everyone in my life the day that happened.
Is this, wait, can I just guess? Can I guess?
Yes.
Is it latte coupon day?
It is latte coupon day.
Oh my gosh. This is just so incredibly ill-considered.
So, okay, the way, if you've never worked for retail places, and maybe other places were more organized, I have to assume that they were because Borders closed down. But the way that Borders would do it is, they had these crazy coupons in the newspaper that morning, but so that the employees did not, get a drop on using those coupons to sort of, really take advantage of stuff by hoarding stock in the back room to make sure that they could get all the good stuff themselves. They did not announce what the coupons were going to be to the staff prior to that morning. It was all hush-hush confidential.
Oh, okay. So they're trying to game themselves?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they're trying to game... They weren't trying to game themselves on a corporate level. They were trying to game us on an individual employee level.
Yeah.
Which is just the sort of taking care of employees that Borders used to do near the end there. And I can make fun of them because they're gone. Anyway, so one of the coupons that we got that morning was 1 free latte. Now, this was not 1 free latte with the purchase of a second latte, or, like $2 off a latte, or a free latte when you buy a book or something. This was 1 free latte. If you got a newspaper that day, you got a free latte. Here's the problem.
Oh, man.
I know. And it was a great coupon. But the problem is, since they didn't tell us this, we had like a sort of standard amount of milk in the cafe that day.
Oh, buddy, boy.
And, I think they had kind of stocked up, but they had not anticipated giving a free latte to everyone in, the surrounding 3 towns, which is what ended up happening. So I was not actually scheduled to work in the cafe that day, but I was sort of double trained because I had also worked at Starbucks, so, it was the same machines, basically, so I could
right,
pinch hit. So they just brought me over, and they were like, Matt, all you are doing today is making lattes. But the problem with this is that you kind of couldn't make lattes all day, with the full staff at least, because we ran out of milk twice and had to send somebody to the local grocery store to just load up on as many gallons of milk as they could to bring them back 2 times.
Geez.
And then each time, those people were having to drive through Black Friday traffic and wait through Black Friday lines at the grocery stores, which I don't think get crazy for Black Friday, but they couldn't have been great.
Yeah, I was going to say nothing is good on Black Friday. Just the sheer insanity that is retail just spills over into every other element of society. The only way to avoid it is to just not leave the house.
Yeah, so that was my sort of most brutal Black Friday, was just getting basically chained to a espresso maker and just churning out as many large lattes as possible.
Oh my gosh.
So, any listeners out there who are retail folks, I feel ya. I get it.
But yeah, man, Thanksgiving was lovely. This is astonishing. I've gotten enough sleep over the last couple of days.
Oh, nice.
And man, it's fantastic. I did not realize, how things just sort of creep up on you? I just sort of didn't realize how much I exist in a kind of constant state of low-level sleep deprivation.
Well, you do have twins.
Yeah, well, right, exactly, because of the twins. And so I feel like I'm on something. I feel like I've taken some sort of potent drug. I'm just I'm awake, and I'm just looking around and feeling good, and it's not. There's just a fuzziness that's gone in the back of my head because I've slept. And so I'm enjoying it while I can. The fuzz will be back pretty soon because I do have to go back to work. But for now, man, I'm just riding high on sleep. What?
It's a beautiful thing.
It is, Matt. What is our second star of the week?
Dave, our second star of the week is that now that Thanksgiving is over, it's Christmas time.
Oh, man, it is. So exciting. I love Thanksgiving.
Oh, Thanksgiving is great. I do kind of wish that Thanksgiving was in the middle of November, because
I'd like a little bit more of a break.
Because I like there is part of me still that likes to wait until Thanksgiving is over before I go full Christmas.
I'm with you, but I have recently given up on that.
That is something that is definitely wavering for me, because I realize that Christmas is great, and there is no reason to deny myself a thing that I love, especially when not necessarily everything in the world is great. There's one great thing, and that's coming right up, and we should enjoy it for as much as we can. So I did actually go a little early to buy my Christmas tree, and I took 3 different trips to do it, because the first time I went out, I went to the local Home Depot, which is where I usually get my trees, and I got all the way there, and then I realized, oh, wait, it's been raining all day. And these trees have been sitting outside, and I don't have a garage to keep this tree in. So what would happen right now is I would buy this big tree, and I would bring it into my house, and then I would have a wet house tree for a couple of days.
Cool. Don't do that.
No. So instead what I did is I bought a little 3-foot plastic tree, because I wanted to get a secondary thing to put in my front window.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's cool.
So we went back the next day. I guess we did it in 2 trips. We went back the next day and picked up like the real tree. And we got it set up. It is currently up in my apartment. We have not yet trimmed the tree because we've been busy with Thanksgiving stuff. So I wake up the next day and I go into work, and the whole day my back is killing me, right?
Okay.
And I'm sitting there at my desk wondering, like, why on earth? Oh, no, I didn't even go into the office. I was working from home that day. So, like, I was sitting in, like, my not office chair because I just have, like, a folding chair at my desk. And, like, oh, this must be why my back hurts. And at some point, I walked out into my, like, main living room, and I looked at, like, the 7-foot tree I had, like, picked up and hauled into my apartment the day before. I was like,
You
oh,
thought to
no.
yourself, oh, maybe
that is why
has
my
something
back
to do with
hurts.
it. Right.
But it's all worth it, Dave. It's all worth it because the apartment smells great, and soon enough, there will be lights and ornaments on that tree. And I cannot be happier about it.
Yeah, we haven't gotten our Christmas decorations up yet, and actually, like, now that I think about it, we are going to have to sort of reconsider our Christmas decorating modus because it is not twin safe.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I have not considered, right, like, I have not considered the degree to which the twins will, like, attempt to climb into the tree or, like, pull stuff down. We have just slowly been, like, as the twins are growing and walking more, we are realizing how many things are at, like, twin arm reach level. And it's a lot more things than we initially anticipated. So just all of our possessions have been slowly migrating higher. But, yeah, so we are looking forward to Christmas decorating. We're just not there yet.
All right, well then what, Dave, moving on, is our third Star of the Week?
So our third Star of the Week, Matt, is I just wanted to return to and offer a rare retraction. This is maybe a nega star? I'm not
black
sure
hole.
we've ever done this, yeah. So I want to talk a little bit more about the Inhumans. And it turns out, man, the first like 2 or 3 episodes were better, I think, than people talked about them being. But the last episodes were not good.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a super bummer. Like, there were flashes of coolness in there, but, and I don't know a more pleasant way to say this, it just seemed like a DC movie project. Not a CW show.
I was going to say, because the DC TV shows are great.
No, yeah, those are super good. Love them. No, this seemed more like a DC movie project in that they just, like, they changed stuff that had no need to be changed. Like, you know, like, they just messed around with a couple of people's powers, but, like, in a way that didn't make sense. And it's been out for a while now, so spoilers, I guess. But, so they cut Medusa's hair. Like, a lot of the promo shots, you see Medusa, whose only superpower is that she controls her super strong hair.
Which is great.
And
you see her with... If you are unfamiliar with the character in the comics in which she appears, that might sound like
we're
really
joking.
dumb.
We're not.
But no, we are not kidding, and it is very good.
Yeah, and you see there's a bunch of promo shots with her with short hair. They cut her hair in, like, episode 2, and I kept expecting it to... somehow there was going to be like a moment where it like superpower like grows back and she has superpowers again. That never happens. So Medusa basically spends the entire series just as a person.
Great.
Yeah. And like they spend a bunch of time with Karnak, who his like superpower is that he has like ultra kung fu. And they throw in like a weird romance subplot line for him. It's like, man, I don't need to see Karnak fall in love. I want to see Karnak use super kung fu. Like, and
he needs to find the flaw in a thing and then break it in half. That's his whole jam.
That's his one thing. And the whole problem with this is that there's just enough. And so I did finish the series. There's just enough. And I will say, I'm hoping for a second season. I think there was enough there that if they get somebody who isn't whatever Scott what's his name, that it could be good. Like, there were some really strong elements. Like the play between Black Bolt and Medusa was really strong. Like, you really felt that relationship. The guy who played Black Bolt, I felt did a really good job. I've mentioned that before. But like, they just focused on all the weird stuff that I don't care about.
You know what I think is the weirdest thing is that there is like 4 Marvel TV shows on the air right now that I just have not seen. I haven't watched.
I haven't seen Punisher.
I haven't seen Punisher. I never watched any of the Inhumans. Oh, I did see like the first 2 episodes of Runaways. Runaways is
holy
good.
crap, Runaways is super good.
And it's crazy because you look at that and then you apparently look at a thing like Inhumans. Like both things came out of like ostensibly the same, if not the same studio, obviously, but like, you know, the same company. And one of them is very good and like shockingly. It's been a long time since I've read Runaways.
Close. Yeah, no,
but
it's
like,
spot on.
Yeah. And Inhumans is just not?
Yeah, like I just kind of don't know what happened with Inhumans. And like I said, there's enough good moments in there that I'm hoping for a second season and maybe they can course correct. But like, I frankly am not super sanguine about that. Because like the first season, and it just ended weird. Like... So anyways, if you haven't watched it yet, but you were thinking about watching it based on my previous recommendation, I'm now retracting that recommendation. You can probably skip Inhumans.
All right.
Yeah, sorry.
Maybe watch The Gifted. Haven't watched it, but Blink's in that. How crazy is it that we have had Blink in the last 2 years in a movie and a TV show, and they're not connected? Like, that is not the sort of character that seems like... But listen, I love Blink.
No, I just love teleporters in general, but yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But Matt... listen, I need to cut us off because I will talk about superhero television shows. I mean, that is what we're doing here, but not this particular superhero television show. So what, Matt, is our 4th star of the week?
Dave, our 4th star of the week is that I have to confess, I did a little bit of Black Friday shopping yesterday.
Well, listen, Matt, I can forgive you.
Which is why I went so deep into letting you all know my history with the day previously, so that you would...
earned this, Matt.
Right. But I didn't go in the morning. I went at like 1:30, 2 in the afternoon, and I didn't go like, you know, I didn't do any doorbuster shopping. Here's what I did. I went on Xbox Live. I looked at what games were on sale for that. I realized that WWE 2K18 was on sale. Mm-hmm. But I didn't want to wait for it to download via Xbox Live, so I looked it up, and GameStop had it on the same sale, and it was going, like, based on my internet speeds, it was going to be about twice as fast for me to just drive to the store and buy the disc. So I just did that, and I brought it home, and I was so excited because I buy the new WWE game once every like 2 or 3 years, right? Mm-hmm. Because the game itself is like a mediocre wrestling game.
Yeah, it's not amazing, but
it is attached to like the best character creator ever, and also there's a lot of like new game. Like career stuff. Yeah, like there is no game in existence, I don't think, that lets you like really get into making a dude in the same way that the WWE 2K games do.
No, it's sort of astonishing. And specifically what they do that's really incredible is just how far they let you like import yourself. You can make a just astonishingly accurate simulacrum of yourself in this game.
Well, okay. You can, theoretically. Here is my problem, is that to do that, you need to be able to, like, take a photo of your face and then upload that photo to, like, a server on the WWE 2K18 website.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yep. But to do that, you need to log into that server. And when I got home and tried to do so, I just spent, like, 2 hours in a weird loop where it would not let me log in. It didn't think that my password was wrong. Like, that wasn't it at all. It just thought that, like, I hadn't agreed to its terms of service, but I had, and there was no other place to check. And so I've just been going in a loop for the, like, I tried to do it again when I got home last night. And it's just not letting me do it, which is a shame because, like, that's the first thing that you do, right? Like, you put your face on it, and then you get, like, the head looking right. And then you can do the rest of the fun stuff. And all I want to do is sit on my couch and do all that fun stuff. But I can't, and it's breaking my heart. Now, the follow-up to this is after I got home last night and failed to log in again, I said, I'm still going to play this game. And so I created my... I've got, like, a couple of characters I make every time I buy the game. I always make me, and then I also always make a dude who I call Mean Marco. He's just
Okay.
like a really big like biker dude.
I like it.
Back in the day when it used to be a hair option, I would always give him the Wolverine haircut, which was great.
Nice.
But that is no longer an option, so now he's got like... Anyway, I'm not going to go into details about like what my creator wrestler looks like. What I will tell you is that the game is, even when you are not making yourself, when you're making somebody else, the character creator is engrossing enough that I looked up like halfway through putting together his entrance like sequence last night and realized like, oh... It's 2:30 in the morning. I should go to bed.
Oh, buddy. Yeah, no, that's wow. Okay.
Anyway, I'm on vacation.
That's a pretty. I was going to say that's a pretty good commercial for this game, even if the thing itself doesn't work. But what, Matt, is our 5th star of the week?
Dave, speaking of doing things for a very long time, so as I have mentioned on this show before, I have started a new podcast with Jake Mason from the Morphin Grid. It is called Spectre. It is the special podcast exclusively for comedy, talking, revenge, and extortion. It is our James Bond podcast.
Just kind of dialed in the last couple of letters there, didn't you?
Oh, no, Dave. That's very on purpose. we lure you in with the comedy and talking, but then the revenge and extortion is there, and I don't want you to forget about it. So we got together this week, or a couple of weeks ago, but it came out a couple of days ago, with Matt from Ranger Danger, because we were talking about On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is the only Bond movie with an Australian Bond, and so we got like one of the two Australian people that we know. And it was really fun. We did talk for 3 hours.
Oh, buddy.
So if you are interested in hearing us talk about a 2.5-hour movies for 3 hours, and I hope that you are, because I think it was really great. It was kind of weird, though, because I realized, like, it's me from the Super Sentai Brothers, and it is Jake from the Morphin Grid, and it was Matt from Ranger Danger. And all three of us are like Super Sentai Power Ranger podcasters. And we just got on the microphone and talked about George Lazenby for 3 hours. Like, it was sort of like it was super fun, but it almost felt like, man, should we be doing something else right now?
It does just seem like, how did you guys get together and talk about not?
Yeah, and like it didn't even come up sort of okay, it might have come up conversationally. It was 3 hours. I don't remember everything we talked about. But if you would like to hear everything we talked about, Spectre, it's on iTunes. It's probably on other places too. Just Google it, or check out our Twitter, because I posted it there as well. And I hope that you listen to it, and I hope that you like it. That's the 5th star, Dave. It is a commercial for a different project.
Hey, that's legit, people. That's a thing that people do.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
It is
Cool.
now, at least. But let's get back to this project, Dave. We're going to take a break. We're going to watch episode 6 of Chouriki Sentai Ohranger, and we will be right back. Okay, welcome back. So we have just finished watching episode 6, Formidable Foe, a Thinking Machine. And Dave, this machine sure is a thinker.
Yeah, it sure is.
It certainly is a brain user.
Yeah, it's it's an unusual monster.
It is, and it's kind of two monsters in one.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the connection between these is. Well, okay, we'll just get there. We'll get there. There's a lot to talk about with this weird monster.
Okay, so we start off, and lightning is flashing in a dark sky.
Yes.
So you know it's ominous.
Yeah, exactly. And so we hear a voice just saying over and over again, "Bara psychic, bara telepathy, bara psychic, bara telepathy," which is a weird way to activate your psychic/telepathic powers.
I mean, I don't know. I genuinely kind of love it.
Well, I'm expanding this to like other superheroes or other people with superpowers. Just imagining like Cyclops just running around going like blast, 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 blast.
Okay, now, but to be fair, when the Human Torch becomes the Human Torch, he shouts flame on.
Yeah, like one time.
Okay, that is true. That is true.
Anyway, so this week's monster is called Bara Brain, and it has mental powers, and it's got a cool look. It's got sort of like a big, maybe like Dracula cape, is a good way to say it.
He's
but it
definitely
does have
got a high collar.
Yeah.
One of his eyes is like a lot bigger than the other. It's like this sort of like metal sphere, but it kind of makes it look like he's wearing a monocle.
Yes, it's a cool look, which I think is, obviously I think that's probably on purpose because he's supposed to be like a crazy hypnotist or something.
Yes. So he is standing in the like wind and thunderstorm. There's no actual rain in this thunderstorm, which is good because I doubt that this robot wants to be like soaked.
But definitely.
He is staring at a picture of the chief of staff Miura.
Yes.
Miura, right?
Miura?
Miura? Miura?
Yeah, there's probably like some phonetic trick that we're not picking up to pronounce it exactly correctly, but it's Miura. And he is using his mental powers to try and locate Miura. Like, they just don't know where he is. But I think that's pretty cool. Like, the Ohranger's secret base has still managed to remain a secret base.
Yeah. It's not just like out in the open like the Jetman space was.
Right. It is secret, like Murder Basement.
Yes.
So we flip up from there, and
thankfully, it is not non-existent like the Kakuranger space.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Kakurangers kind of had a base. Like Nankamaru's sort of a base after a fashion.
Sort of. Anyway,
it's a center of operations / crepe truck, like you do.
Like you do.
So anyways, we go up and we see Emperor Bacchus Wrath and Empress, what's her name again?
Hysteria,
thank you. I kept wanting to say Titania, and I knew that wasn't right. So
that's from a different thing.
Yeah, it is. And Empress Hysteria and Worst Prince, and they're up on the moon, and they're saying, Ohranger is making new machines. How they know this, I have no idea. Because we've already established...
Acha and Kocha do say that like they have gotten reports. So like maybe they have spies on Earth or something.
Okay, but I mean the base is still secret. They don't... Because they're about to say they're 5 top secret machines. Where are they developing them? We don't know. We have to find out.
Do you get a sense, Dave, that when Bacchus Wrath is really angry that they're making these machines to fight him, that part of it is that he feels like personally offended that he is going to be attacked by robots?
Yeah, I absolutely got that sense that he was like, how dare they make machines to fight us? What monsters? How could you?
I am the Machine King. You can't turn them against me.
Like, that's wrong somehow. Like, he has some sort of weird moral high ground about it.
Well, okay, imagine the alternative, though. Like, imagine the flip side of this, where the Machine Empire, like, constructs humans to go fight the Ohrangers, and then those humans, like, stand on each other's shoulders to form a giant human. Like, that's really upsetting.
Yeah, that is... Well, actually, what it would be is if the humans sort of, like, discorporated themselves and then just merged into one giant flesh monster. So, yeah, that would be upsetting.
A little bit, yeah.
So I guess, all right, I'll give you this one, Bacchus Wrath. You win this one. So, Empress Hysteria, she says, listen, we have sent the elite of our machine monsters. We have sent Bara Brain, and he is going to use, I guess they felt the need to fully explain this. He is going to use telepathy to get this info about where they're building these things and what all they're doing from Miura.
Yes.
Okay. So we go from there to Ohranger Base. Does it have a name? I don't think it does. I think it's just like the base.
Yeah, I don't think it has a name yet. I mean, we could give it a name.
Ohranger Base is fine. So until we think of
something
better.
Real snappy nickname there, Dave.
Hey, listen, man. You put me on the spot, and I was not prepared for that.
But that's where we go. We cut to the Ohranger Base. The chief Miura is there, and he is working through the night, as he apparently has been quite some time. Because one of the workers is like, dude, you must be exhausted. Like, go home and sleep. It's fine.
Just like the most serious foreman. Like, this dude, he's on screen for like 30 seconds, and I already have like a whole backstory for this guy. Like, he is selling this character. He's like the foreman. He's deeply concerned about the chief. He does mention, he says something about, like, I think going home and sleeping, which is weird because I always assumed that Chief Miura just lives on base.
Yeah, where would he go?
Yeah,
I guess he must have a home.
I don't know, because, like, the base is super duper, like, wherever it is, it's not, like, local to anywhere. So I always just assumed that dude has, like, an apartment on base. Maybe not. Maybe he's just got a house that he has like some crazy long commute. I mean, whatever. They built a super base. He maybe has like a high-speed tunnel train in his basement that takes him. I dig that, actually. So, anyways, he's like, boss, you got to go home and get to sleep. And Miura's like, no, I can't. Like, we must finish these machines, and I have to be the one. Like, for some reason, he has to be there to finish them.
Well, I think that like he designed them. Like later in the episode, they will say like, we can't finish these without him.
Right. Yeah. Anyways. So he's like, no, we have to finish these machines so that we will be ready to stand against Baka's wrath, which is like great. Yes, excellent.
We have a quick cut away to Bara Brain, and he is Bara Psychic, Bara Telepathying again.
And then we see the picture that he has of Miura, and it's sort of like, it's a cool transition because it glows, and then we see Miura kind of in the same pose, but like now we're back at the base. So it was a neat scene transition. And Miura remembers his niece.
Yeah, like he is at his desk, like doing some computer stuff, and it seems like he's sort of like drifting off to sleep.
Yeah. And so this, like, whatever it is that Bara Brain has been trying to do, it's now taking effect because it has called up the memory of his niece Miku. Okay. And he sort of like starts awake and he turns around and he's hallucinating this young girl, Miku. And she just says like, Uncle, save me. And then he goes to like get up and hug her and she disappears because like obviously she wasn't there to begin with. Okay.
Right. But he is still sort of in this like hallucinatory zone.
Sleep deprived. Like he's not really sure what's happening.
So,
kind of state.
Right. So he like wanders out into the hallway because like he's like, oh, where did she go? She must be around here somewhere. I just saw her. Wanders into the hallway, sees her sort of at the other end of the hallway. And she's like, Uncle, you need to save me. The Bara are doing, like, the Baranoia are doing something. And then he sort of reaches out to her. She disappears, and he just, like, collapses in this hallway.
Yeah. So as he does this, Goro runs out in uniform. As far as I can tell, the Ohrangers are never not in uniform.
Yeah, we saw Goro, like, in his, like, military uniform in the first episode, but then when he took that off, we discovered that he had been wearing his Ohranger jumpsuit underneath it the whole time.
Yeah, which is pretty rad.
Maybe it's just on there forever. I think even in the, so in the ending credits, we do see them in, like, white workout gear.
Yeah, he is in a karate gi.
So we at least know that they are not like scientifically bonded to their jumpsuits, which is good. That is a good thing to know. Yeah, I got real worried for them for a moment.
So he runs out and he's like, Chief, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And the Chief sort of like comes out of it a little bit at least.
Yeah, and then like Goro calls everyone together. They are all sitting sort of in their conference room with the Chief. And Chief is like, oh, yes, like, this is my best friend's daughter. I'm very worried about her. And then he just, like, gets up and leaves the room.
Yeah.
Which is, like, listen, I know that he is your boss, and so it is not probably good to, like force him to stay and, like, talk through these things. Because, you know, like chain of command and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But it is a little weird. Like, they summoned everyone together for this meeting to, like, make sure that the Chief is okay. And he just sort of, like, dodders out of the room.
It is, like, a little bit weird. So the next scene that we see is Goro. It's got to be the next day. And Miku is coming out of school. And Miura and Goro are there to like, pick her up. And she's like, oh, Uncle, like, great to see you. Like, I was so glad when you called and said, like, I was going to get to see you today. And Miura, like, gives her a hug. And then he pulls her back and he says, hey, like, is anything weird going on? Like, is everything cool? And she's a little, like, she just kind of doesn't know how to respond to that. So clearly the answer is yes.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, there's nothing weird.
Like,
why would there be something weird? I'm just a child and, like, weird, like, I mean, okay. I feel like maybe she ought to guess, because, you know, like, she knows that the Chief is involved in something, and she also knows that, like, giant magic robots from space have been attacking.
So like
her befuddlement is it's not quite believable, but it's fine because it at least tells us that nothing is specifically happening to her.
Right. So Goro looks up and he looks around. He's like, no sign of the paranoia, which is a weird thing to say because, like, the paranoia just appear literally out of they just fly in from the atmosphere and they're there. So it's not as though there's like a warp gate that appears and shimmers in midair as they're like coming out. So what he means by no sign of paranoia is there is no sign of paranoia at this exact second.
Right. I cannot physically see any of the paranoia with my eyes right now.
So everything must be fine, I guess. We go from there to a fun park, and we see Miku. She's on a carousel, and the Goro is sort of asking the chief, like, so what's up with this? Like, what's up with this girl? Like what's going on? Where are her parents? And Miura has this flashback where he kind of explains what has happened.
Yeah. So as we've sort of said, she's not his actual niece. She is his best friend's daughter.
Right.
But tragically, like 5 years ago, his best friend died in a car accident. And we see this thing. It's like the chief and his friend Endo and Miko, who is, like a younger kid in this. Yeah. And they're in the back of like an official government car. Because Endo was also in the military, like science, I guess, because he's wearing some sort of a uniform. Mm-hmm. A tire blows out on the car, but like it doesn't just pop. There's like an actual like a flash and explosion. So I don't know what was supposed to have been happening here. And then all of a sudden, like the car is flying off of a cliff and tumbling down to its doom.
Right. Okay, just real quickly, they're on a road.
Yes.
The tire pops. Explodes, really. And then the car flies off of a stony cliff.
Yes.
And then the next scene is Chief Miura holding on to Endo and Miku on like a grassy cliff over the ocean.
Yeah.
So
maybe the car kept going for a little while after the both of them rolled out of it and sort of like turned to the corner to a stonier part of the cliff.
Man, I don't know. I'm just assuming in my head now, just Japanese geography always looks like an M.C. Escher painting. Like, there's no perspective on anything, and everything is just like mashed up. You can take 3 steps and completely change topography, and everybody's completely fine with that. So Chief Miura is holding on to both Endo and Miku.
Right, he's got one sort of grasping onto each arm, but like they can't, like Endo can't sort of scramble up the hill, and Miura isn't strong enough to drag him up, and like Miura is kind of getting dragged down with the two of them because of the weight.
Right, and so Endo is looking up at Chief Miura, and he says, I forget exactly what he says, but he's basically like, you've got to take care of my daughter, like make sure she's okay. And he then like sort of actively pushes Chief Miura's hand, like he lets go and kind of pushes Miura's hand away. Yeah. And he falls into the ocean, presumably to his death.
Well, an obvious ragdoll mannequin falls and bounces off the cliff a few times.
Right, yeah, well, okay, yes, Matt, thank you. They did not actually kill an actor to get this shot.
Listen, I'm just saying, it was in my notes, and it goes from a very dramatic moment to a kind of goofy shot of a ragdoll just, like, flopping down a hill.
So anyways, now that Endo has sacrificed himself, Chief Miura has the strength, now that it's just Miku, to pull her up.
Yeah, so you know what no one mentions about this backstory? Is that neither the chief nor Endo were driving this car. Like, there was a driver, and, like, that dude also died, and probably, like, had a family and stuff, and Miura's like, oh, my friend. And, like, there is
my friend Endo.
There is no mention of, like, the guy never got a name, you barely saw his face, and, like, whatever tragedy happened in his life, the chief does not care. He might have had 5 children that desperately need someone to take care of them.
Completely disassociated from that. So Miura is like, oh, if only I had been stronger, I would have been able to save them both. And I did get a kick because normally, like, when you see someone like, if only I had been stronger, they mean like emotionally or like in their heart. And Miura just means like literally I should have gone to the gym more and everything would have been fine.
Yeah. There is a moment when they cut back from this flashback where the camera is sort of like tight in on Miura and it's sort of slowly panning back. But between the time that they started the flashback and when they come back, Goro has sort of like gotten up from the table they were both sitting at and like taken 3 steps to the left. And so for a moment, until the camera had like panned back far enough that you saw Goro, I thought that like he had like the chief had continued to talk and Goro had just left.
Goro just dips.
Like he's
this
super bored.
Super boring.
Like, no, I went to go get ice cream. I figured the kid might want some. What were you saying? Something about your friend?
Huh? What? And so, but no, Goro is a faithful companion. He's been listening to this whole story. And the chief explains, he says, so ever since then, I have watched over Miku. And Goro's like, well, chief, like, you're doing a great job. She seems to be doing well. And then, Bara fighters! Like, just Bara fighters out of nowhere.
Yeah, and so Goro is trying to fight off these Bara soldiers. The chief also is doing a little bit of fighting the Bara soldiers off, but, like, he definitely gives the vibe of someone who, like, used to be kind of good at fighting in his youth, but is now, like, a little past that, and is able to get in 1 or 2 good hits. But
yeah,
Goro
like,
is like, dude, like, you need to run.
Yeah, like, he's no slouch, but also he is trying to protect Miku, so he is not, like, just kind of free to do whatever he wants. But yeah, exactly. Goro says, like, listen, you guys go. Like, I've got this. These are Bara soldiers. Like, I'm fine.
Right, I'll just tension real quick and then take care of these jerks.
Yeah, so which is exactly what he does. And Miura and Miku run away. Like, they run into a building, and I think it's supposed to be like a Space Mountain style, like, indoor thrill ride. It's called Geopanic. There's a sign that says Geopanic. I have no idea where they're supposed to be. Like, is this supposed to be part of the fun park?
I think this might be a bad bit of editing, because I think what happens is they encounter Bara Brain in the fun park.
Yeah.
Which is still sort of outside next to this Geopanic sign. Bara Brain then does this weird thing where he becomes 2, like, sort of softball-sized floating silver balls.
Yeah.
And one of them flies, like, one of them sort of, like, hits Miura and flies away, and the other one, like, zaps Miko in the brain with a lightning, and then Miko becomes possessed by the mind of Bara Psychic, who at this point does not have a corporeal form. By the way, you're wondering where this is. If you will remember, there was another scene that we have seen in a different Sentai show that was shot in this exact location.
I was going to say, this is Dairanger, and Kazu has a scene in this spot, doesn't he?
No, this is a Daigo moment. This is where... remember when... I think this whole thing is actually shot around the same area. Remember the Key Clown episode when all the people are being attacked in the fun park by the puppets?
Oh, yeah.
And then Daigo chases the Key Clown down these stairs, the same stairs that Chief Miura is, like, thrown up and down with mind powers.
Yes,
like,
I remember
down
the
those
scene.
stairs.
In my head, I had substituted Kazu.
And then the wall in this area is sort of broken up into, like, squares. Like, that's just sort of like the decoration of the surface of this wall. And they used those squares as sort of like the outline of a door that Key Clown opened to escape from the rest of the Dairangers.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it is, like, exactly in that spot. And I know that, like, we make a lot of jokes about them reusing shooting locations in this show, mostly the Corys, but there are a couple of very specific, like, shooting locations that when I see them, I'm like, oh, right, that thing. And it always makes me happy.
I do. No, I dig it a lot. It, provides, like, a cool sense of continuity for the show.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's see. Miura has been zapped. Miko has been possessed. Goro is still fighting outside. I think this might be where the episode, like, commercial break hits, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, when we come back from the commercial break, because you and I don't have a commercial break. We can just keep talking. I mean, unless somebody wants to sponsor the show. If you want to sponsor the show, we'll put it right there.
Yeah, like I was going to say, we will 100% throw that in there.
So Juri and Shohei arrive to help Goro fighting these Bara soldiers. But when they arrive, they are zapped by an overhead shot from one of the Bara jet fighters. And so they're unable to get to Goro. But what's great is that Yuji and Momo are up in the air right now. They are in their jet fighter. And so they're able to shoot down the Bara's jet fighter so that Juri and Shohei are then able to henshin and help Goro fight the Bara soldiers.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. It's
just a fun sequence to remind you, these are soldiers and they have plans and resources available to them. They're not just trying to, it's a very different show than the one we just came off of. They're
I was
going to
say their base of
ninja
operations is not a
plane.
magical cat creep truck. It's a different vibe.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah, so we the orb. The orb blasts Goro, the Bara brain orb, it blasts Goro, and then the orb, I think it's supposed to turn giant. It's not super clear, but the orb floats into the air and then telekinetically summons a bunch of cars. It just yoinks a bunch of stuff off the ground, I think is the idea. And it morphs all of that stuff into a body called Bara Separate. And this is the first time that we have seen a full-on giant monster.
Yeah, well, okay, the Bara Saucer was giant, but Bara...
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Sorry.
Bara Saucer started giant. This is the first time we've seen something grow. And actually, Dave, this is something that you and I have seen before.
I was going to say, this monster looked really familiar, but I couldn't remember where I'd seen it.
Well, if you remember, we were on an episode of Ranger Danger early in their run of Zeo.
Oh, and this is the monster that they fight?
This is the monster that they fight, although it's cut very differently because, by the way, this, spoiler warning, this episode ends on a cliffhanger.
We don't finish this one.
The episode that we watched of Zeo had parts of this one and parts of the next one.
Okay. So whatever it is, Bara Separate, they fight around it with the Chouriki cannons, but it is too strong. It's just a different class of monster, and the Chouriki cannons are not powerful enough to really damage Bara Separate.
And then Bara Separate, the orb in its chest that was sort of the starting orb of the whole thing, glows and crackles with lightning, which zaps out and shoots at Juri and Momo's plane, which it gets shot out of the sky and they have to crash land.
Yeah, it's a cool moment. Now they end up okay. This is not the fact that they get shot out does not is not a huge element in the story. It just they could no longer use the plane.
Right. Now we cut away to what has happened to the chief.
Yeah. So the chief is back at the ocean, and he is he's tied up. And Miku is off to the side. She's off in front, and then
yeah, I think crucially and significantly, they are not just by the ocean; they are at a cliff by the ocean.
Oh yeah, they are at the spot where Endo died,
or at least a shooting location that could easily double for that other one.
Right? No. I think that is. I mean, I assume that is the same spot. So.
And we should be clear, when you say that Chief Mira is tied up, he is not in handcuffs. He is tied up as though this is a cartoon, chained to a post.
Yeah, I was going to say, the Kraken is coming. That's where he's at. So, Bara Brain, they do a cool little thing where it's Miku's mouth moving, but it is Bara Brain's voice. And he says, listen. And he projects an image of the city of Bara Separate, wrecking the city. And he says, listen, if you do not want me to destroy the city, because we are I am bonded to Bara Separate. Bara Separate's just part of me. He says, if you do not want me to destroy the city, tell me where the machines are. And Miura, in a stone cold moment, just says nope. Even if people have to die, those machines are our best chance of defeating you permanently. And that's just a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Basically.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled about it, but, that's just what we have to do.
Yeah. which I really appreciate because he's 100% right. Like, yeah, dude, like I'm really sorry, and I would rather not destroy those people, but like just the numbers play out. Like that's just what you would have to do. Like, nope, I'm not telling you where like giant super machines are. Just not gonna happen.
Yeah, but then because Bara Brain is controlling Miko, like it switches, right? And so Miko had been speaking with the voice of Bara Brain. But now Miko is going back to speaking with her own voice and saying like, oh my gosh, uncle, I can't believe you would let these people die. This is just like you. You also let my father die. Like, you did it on purpose. How dare you? You don't care if people die. Like, what, like, you need to do this. You're a horrible man, etc., etc.
Right. Which is like, at first, this really does a number on Chief Miura. He's just like, oh my gosh, like, and Miku says like, even in death, my father hates you. And then they summon like a hologram of Endo, like an illusion of Endo, that is also like imploring Chief Miura, like, just tell them where the machines are. And amazingly, the fact, like, when he summons the hologram, Chief Miura then is like, that's too far. Like, you've kind of gone too far. Like, you overplayed your hand. Now I know.
It was a nice piece of work, Bara Brain. You shouldn't have signed it.
Yeah, but like now I'm good, and he basically chooses to disbelieve, and he's like, no, this is ridiculous, and he calls out to Miku. He's like, get a hold of yourself, Miku. Like, this isn't you. Like, you're cool. So we don't see that struggle happening yet.
I know that we paraphrase a lot on this show because we're not always writing down exactly what they say, but I am just imagining a world in which the actual dialogue of this show was, get a hold of yourself, Miko, you're cool. And that would have been so amazing.
That would have been a much better line than whatever. Would have been more memorable than what they wrote, clearly.
Yeah.
So we go from there, and it's Juri and Momo. Yuji and Momo back at the base. And like, okay, so first of all, like, they just sort of like stroll in, like, into the control room.
They are sort of like
they're beat
stuffed up.
Yeah. Are the other Rangers supposed to still be fighting? It's not super clear.
Yeah, because remember, like, Goro and Juri and Shohei were all fighting the Bara soldiers.
Yes. So I'm just saying, like, Yuji and Momo are being like super cash, considering that their compatriots are in the middle of still actively fighting.
Listen, they know that they're busy because they're fighting the Bara soldiers. They also know that, like, it's Bara soldiers, and like it's 3 of the Ohrangers against a group of Bara soldiers. Like, they're fine. So these two are just gonna like come back to base and see what they can do here.
Okay. So anyways, they're like, listen, we've got to figure something out. Like, our Chouriki cannons can't defeat Bara separate. What are we going to do? Yuji says, listen, we've got to take out our giant machines. They don't have a name for them yet that I've noticed. Says, we've got to ours are the closest to being done. Like, we just have to take them out. And Momo's like, dude, they're not ready. We need the chief to help finish them. And Yuji's like, yeah, we don't really have a whole lot of choice. Like, we just kind of have to roll with what we've got, because like, otherwise Bara separate will destroy the city. Like, this is our only option.
And so they do. They hop in. Listen, I love an early Sentai episode where the individual giant robots go off and do their own thing without combining. I always love it because, you know, once we get into the show, you never see that again. Yeah,
no, it's just the giant. So what they are is it's Yuji has Dash. It keeps saying Dash Leon. I'm assuming that has to be Dash Lion.
Oh, yeah.
So Dash Lion is supposed to be like a sphinxy lion thing, I think. Like, it has like sort of an Egyptian vibe. I think it's actually wearing like an Egyptian headdress. And then, so O-Pink's machine is called Moa Loader. And I had to look up what this thing was supposed to be, because what they say is that it is modeled after the Easter Island statues. And what it is actually modeled after is a Dalek.
It is very Dalek-y. It's a little squarer.
It's like a square Dalek. It's like a thing, and there's like a cannon coming out of the top of it. Now, I am looking at it in profile, and vaguely maybe could be, but really what it looks like is a giant robot foot with a cannon on a knee.
Yeah, I was going to say, this looks less like an Easter Island statue and more like what would happen if you tried to make a robot leg that was also a turret kind of look like an Easter Island statue.
Yeah, now
like it's got sort of like a big chunk in the middle that might look like that nose, but like it's kind of blended into where the foot part of it would come out, so it doesn't even really look like that.
Yeah, it's not a. I mean, it's a stretch. Now, what it is fun is that the MOA loader does not have apparently any like propulsion of its own, despite the fact that it has a bunch of wheels at its base, and it has to be like dragged into battle by Dash Lion.
Yeah,
so there's just a giant set of chains connecting these two.
So it kind of looks like this giant like super robot chariot where like a huge robot lion is just dragging this thing around. It's really good. It's quite good, Dave.
Yeah, no, it's pretty friggin' cool.
And so they go into, like, they just, like, charge out and are ready to fight. The other three, at this point, show up at the headquarters, and they're like, oh my gosh, they're leaving with their giant robots. Ours aren't ready, and, they are not close enough to being ready that we can make the final preparations without the chief.
Right, like, what are we gonna do? And Goro basically just says, listen, they've got it. Like, they're cool. Like, they will be okay.
Which I really love. Goro having confidence in his teammates.
Yeah, he's like, what we need to do is go and find the chief. Like, that's where we need to put our priorities.
And so they head out to go find the chief. The Dash Lion and MOA Loader go into battle. They're shooting off a bunch of rockets. They're getting into a fight with this Bara Separate. It's not actually going super well, despite Goro's confidence.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's not going poorly, and I think, like, for a first outing, it's actually, like, fairly impressive. They're not losing, definitely, so that's cool.
But it's definitely tenuous enough that we can end this episode on a cliffhanger. Speaking of cliffs.
So we go back to nice transition, Matt.
Thank you.
We go back, and Bara Psychic. They say the names just in case. Like, so they've said like Dash Lion and MOA Loader. They have said those words like 6 or 7 times in the last 2 minutes. Well, just in case you need to know what toy to go buy.
I was going to say, when you go to the store, you need to know what to look for.
Right. So Bara Psychic says their names one more. Or I'm sorry, Chief Miura is like, oh, Dash Lion and MOA Loader, like they did it. And Bara Psychic says, like, all right, well, I'm not going to let you finish the last 3. Like, I will get this information out of you. So he uses telekinesis on his own psychic host. I'm not sure. Like, he starts throwing Miku around using telekinesis. She flips out.
Yeah, she's calling for help. She's sort of being, like, dangled in midair and, like, dragged around. It's not a good day for Miku.
No, it is not. And then the last scene that we see is Emperor Balkar's Wrath and compatriots just sort of enjoying the suffering of the humans. Like, ha, 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 these foolish humans are so terrible. And then it's to be continued. We actually don't get the ending of this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, we get the ending of the episode. We don't get an ending of the story arc.
So there's no Creature Royale this week because no monsters have been blown up.
They haven't defeated him, so...
But, Dave, how excited are you to finally see these giant robots?
I'm so excited. I really, I was curious as to, how they were going to do the theme. Because the theme is when we saw them first do the Chouriki, transformation... They were all buildings. There was a pyramid and a Greek temple and some other stuff. And I was like, so I'm not really sure what your monster or your giant robot theme is going to be. And it turns out the theme is basically just buildings again. Like there's a Sphinx and an Easter Island. Well, it's not a building, but an Easter Island statue. Which I think is pretty great.
Yeah, I think that it is partially buildings. And I think, because it's not all going to be that way, I think that what it is more like is that they are... like mythical figures associated with the cultures that you think of when you think of that building. So like
Right.
you got the pyramid. Actually, no, the pyramid I think was a different thing. But, you know, like you have like the giant sphinx thing that's like a big lion. But then we're also going to get like a bird and a bull and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you know, I just, it's an interesting theme. It's a cool one. I think it's a neat idea. So,
Looking forward
yeah,
to
I think
seeing to them all come together in a little bit. But I mean, we could sort of keep stalling, but otherwise, this is the end of our episode.
Yeah, that's it, man. It was a good episode. I'm looking forward to seeing the end of it.
Very exciting, very exciting. But that is for next week. For now, that is going to do it for another episode of For Your Eyes, Ohranger. Before we finish up here, I'd like to remind you all you can email the show at supersentaibrothers@gmail.com. If you want to get any updates on future episodes or check out the things that we're talking about on Twitter, we are at Super Sentai Bros. If you like the show, please remember, shining in the iTunes review section, there are 5 stars. Please rate and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever it else is that you find the show. That's what's going to help new people find it, and we would appreciate it. Makes us feel good about doing this when we see those.
Love it.
That's all. I mean, I feel like that's a pretty obvious statement, but it's a true one, and I want to reiterate it every once in a while. Another true fact is that the Super Sentai Brothers are a production of Retrograde Orbit Radio. To find any of the other great Retrograde Orbit Radio shows, you can do so at retrogradeorbitradio.com. Once again, we're the Super Sentai Brothers. I'm Matt.
I'm Dave.
And we'll see you next week for the greatest show on Earth.